At a certain point, reflection naturally begins to shift into choice. Not every lingering thought requires action, but some feelings become easier to carry when they are acknowledged honestly instead of repeatedly revisited in silence. When the idea of reconnecting arises, it helps to separate emotion from assumption and intention from imagined meaning. Real communication is often simpler than the narratives we build internally. It is just honesty expressed without trying to control the outcome. There is vulnerability in that step, but also a sense of relief in no longer holding on to words that were never spoken. Whether the result leads to reconnection, distance, or something in between, clarity itself has value because it replaces uncertainty with understanding. It allows both people to see their present reality more clearly instead of interpreting fragments of memory or behavior. Sometimes, the most meaningful action is not dramatic or emotional, but quiet and respectful. A thoughtful message, an open conversation, or even a personal decision to find closure without needing external resolution. In choosing honesty over speculation, emotions become less tangled and easier to understand. They shift from feeling like pressure into something acknowledged and grounded. What remains is perspective, the recognition that human connections are layered, changing, and not always meant to continue in the same form. There is also value in timing and boundaries. Not every moment is right for conversation, and rushing clarity can create confusion instead of resolution. When space and emotional steadiness are respected on both sides, any interaction that follows is more likely to come from calm intention rather than urgency, allowing outcomes to unfold naturally without force. Another wave of realization hits them, one so powerful, it almost knocks them off balance. They remember moments you don't even know they kept alive inside them. The softness in your voice, the way you looked at them once, as if you saw every part of them without fear, the comfort you brought without trying. These fragments of you refuse to fade, and the more they try to erase them, the brighter they burn. They know it now. Life has been silently pulling them back in your direction, piece by piece, sign by sign, emotion by emotion. And today, something finally clicks. They stop resisting the force that has been guiding them back to you. But here's where the twist begins, because the second they decide to move toward you, your name appears somewhere around them. Maybe on their screen, maybe in a song lyric, maybe spoken by a stranger, maybe whispered by their own guilty conscience. Whatever the source, it shakes them deeply, as if the universe itself just confirmed that today is no ordinary day. Their pulse quickens, their thoughts sharpen, their hesitation melts. It feels like a signal, loud, clear, impossible to ignore. They know it's time. Not next week, not someday, not later, today. This is the moment they will stop pretending they don't care. And now something even bigger unfolds within them. An unstoppable drive they can't quiet, even if they tried. They don't want closure. They don't want distance. They don't want silence. They want you. And today, whether through a message, a call, a sudden appearance, a confession, or a moment of truth, they will do something that shifts everything between you. Something brave, something real, something they were terrified of but can't avoid anymore. Because deep inside, they know one truth clearer than anything else. Their heart has always been tied to yours, and today is the day that truth refuses to stay hidden. Stay with me, because what unfolds next is the moment where their entire emotional world cracks open, revealing the truth they've been hiding even from themselves. All this time, they move through their days pretending they were fine, pretending they were unbothered, pretending life was perfectly manageable without you. But inside, a storm was gathering force. And today, that storm finally breaks. They wake up with your name already sitting on their mind, not gently, but urgently, insistently, as though some inner voice is whispering that something important is about to happen. They feel it in their chest, like a weight and a calling at the same time, and they can't explain why. Their hands shake just a little. Their heart beats faster than usual. It's as though the universe is nudging them forward, refusing to let them turn away from what's been written into their destiny. Another wave of awareness hits them when they least expect it. They go about their day trying to stay busy, trying to bury the growing pull they feel toward you. But every single thing around them becomes a reminder. A place you once mentioned appears on their feed. A song that connects to you plays out of nowhere. Someone walks past wearing a scent that triggers a memory so strong, it stops them in their tracks. And for a moment, they simply stand still, because the truth they fought so hard to silence rises like a tide. They miss you more than they have ever admitted, not just casually, not just occasionally, not just in passing. They miss you in a way that aches, in a way that feels impossible to escape, in a way that demands their honesty. Their mind returns to you over and over, and the more they try to push your memory away, the closer it presses. Stay with me now, because the shift happening inside them is not small, it's transformational. They begin to realize that their connection with you wasn't a phase, wasn't a moment, wasn't something replaceable. It was something deeper, something rare, something that doesn't come twice in one lifetime. And with that realization comes a fear they never wanted to face, the fear of losing you forever because of their silence, a fear that grips them tightly and refuses to let go. They replay everything they said, every moment they let pass, every sign they ignored, every feeling they shoved down, and suddenly, the regret becomes too heavy to carry. They don't want to stand on the sidelines of your life anymore. They don't want to wonder what could have been. They don't want to be the person who realizes things too late. And then, a moment arrives. A moment so powerful they can't ignore it even if they tried. Their phone lights up, a notification pops, a message appears, or maybe someone speaks your name near them. Whatever it is, it shakes them. They froze, as if the world around them had briefly shifted into something unfamiliar yet unmistakably meaningful. The air felt a little heavier, quieter, and in that stillness their thoughts stopped racing for once. What had been buried under days of hesitation and overthinking rose gently to the surface. The realization that their feelings could no longer be ignored without consequences of their own making. It wasn't a dramatic command or some overwhelming force pushing them forward, but a soft, persistent clarity that made honesty feel less frightening than silence. They thought about the person on the other side of those unspoken words, the distance that had grown not from absence, but from delay. For the first time, the idea of reaching out didn't feel like a risk of rejection alone, but also a chance to release something they had been carrying far too long. Fear was still there, but it no longer felt like the only voice in the room. Alongside it came curiosity and a quiet hope that things might not be as fragile as they had imagined. Maybe connection doesn't always arrive perfectly timed or perfectly shaped. Maybe it begins awkwardly, imperfectly, with a simple message or conversation. And in that thought, they found a small but steady resolve, not urgency, not pressure. Just the willingness to be honest and let what happens next unfold naturally. They understood that clarity doesn't guarantee outcomes, but it does offer direction, and that alone felt like enough to take a first, gentle step forward, however uncertain the response might be, and to accept whatever unfolds with calm openness. Because the person who thinks about you every day is finally ready to act on the truth they've been hiding all along. My beloved child, the moment their decision settles inside them, it feels like the ground shifts beneath their feet. A rush of emotions floods their chest, relief, fear, longing, excitement, and something deeper that they've been running from for far too long. They realize they can't keep living with this unfinished energy between you. They can't keep pretending they're unaffected when their soul feels tied to you like a thread pulled tight. Today becomes the day when their heart stops whispering and finally demands to be heard. And the intensity of this realization leaves them almost breathless, because they know, once they take this step, nothing will ever return to the way it was. A sudden silence forms around them. A silence that isn't empty. It's full of clarity, full of truth, full of every emotion that never found its way into words. They replay the moments when you walked out of a room and they felt the loss instantly. They remember nights they stayed awake thinking about what they should have said. They recall the times they typed messages to you and deleted them because they were afraid of ruining something, afraid of exposing their vulnerability, afraid of wanting you too much. But now that fear cracks open, and behind it is a raw honesty they can't hide anymore. They realize you were never the risk. Losing you was. In the middle of their day, something hits them so strongly it feels like a revelation. They finally understand why no one else ever felt right, why every distraction fell flat, why every connection fizzled before it even began. It wasn't that people were uninteresting. It was that their heart had already chosen, long before their mind caught up. And that choice was you. No matter how many distances formed, no matter how much silence grew between you, no matter how much life pulled you in different directions, their feelings never loosened. If anything, the distance made the connection deeper, sharper, more undeniable. They realize they don't just think about you, they feel you, and that truth becomes impossible to silence. Then comes the moment that pushes everything forward. They look at something that reminds them of you. Maybe a photo, maybe a message thread, maybe a place you once talked about. And something inside them breaks open completely. Their heartbeat stumbles, and for a moment, they can't breathe normally. It's not sadness. It's not regret. It's urgency. The kind that comes when the soul knows it's time to close the gap. They whisper your name under their breath, without even realizing it, and it feels like a promise forming itself. A promise that today, they will not let fear silence them again. A promise that today, they will do what they should have done long ago. And now the shift becomes unstoppable. They start imagining what they want to say to you, how they'll start, how they'll explain everything, how they'll finally admit what they've been hiding. They rehearse the words in their mind, but the truth keeps coming out stronger than any script. They miss you, they care, they never truly let go, and today, they're ready to show it. The closer the moment gets, the more their chest tightens, not with fear, but with anticipation. They know that once they take the step they've been avoiding, your entire story takes a turn, and deep inside, they feel something powerful. Today is the day your connection awakens again. Stay with me here. This is the point where what they have been holding in finally starts to shift into something real. The silence they have kept for so long begins to feel heavier, like it's pressing them toward a decision they can't keep postponing. They sit with their phone in hand, screen lighting up their hesitation more than their courage, fingers hovering without committing to anything. It's not that they don't want to reach out. It's that reaching out would make everything feel undeniably real. Memories of the last conversation come back in fragments, tone, pauses, the things left unsaid. Those fragments settle in them differently now, carrying more weight than they did before. Regret doesn't arrive all at once. It builds quietly, tightening the chest in a way that makes breathing feel deliberate. They think about what they could have said, what they should have tried, how easily things might have gone differently. And then, almost without realizing it, their hesitation starts to loosen its grip. There's no dramatic breaking point, just a slow understanding that waiting hasn't made anything easier. The urge to reach out becomes less about fear and more about honesty. They look at the screen again, thumb hovering over the contact name, feeling the moment settle into something steady and unavoidable. Whatever happens next isn't a collapse or a rush, but a choice finally taking shape after being avoided for too long. They breathe in, and for the first time in a while, the idea of speaking doesn't feel impossible, just overdue. It simply feels like something that finally deserves to happen now rather than later. They begin drafting a message, rewriting it, deleting it, typing again, struggling to find the words that can hold the weight of what they really feel. Nothing seems enough. Nothing feels strong enough, real enough, honest enough. They want to explain everything, why they held back, why they stayed silent, why they let pride or fear make decisions their heart never agreed with. They want to tell you that no matter how far you both drifted, they never stopped feeling connected to you, that every day their thoughts returned to you like a reflex they couldn't break, that your presence never left them, even in your absence. Then the breakthrough comes, fast, sharp, undeniable. Their heart pounds so hard, it feels impossible to ignore. A sudden clarity washes over them, cutting through every doubt and excuse. They realize something powerful. If they don't do this today, they'll regret it forever. The fear of losing you completely becomes stronger than the fear of being vulnerable. And in that exact moment, they decide, fully, finally, fearlessly, that today they are reaching out, no matter what. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Something inside them unlocks, and the hesitation finally cracks open, releasing the truth they've been carrying for far too long. And now the energy around them begins to shift. Their hands steady, their breathing calms, their mind stops racing. Everything inside them aligns toward one truth. They want you in their life, and they're ready to take the step that could bring your connection back to life. As they prepare to reach out, they feel a powerful surge rise in their chest, a mix of hope, emotion, and determination that refuses to fade. Today, their confession, their message, their action, whatever form it takes, will reach you with a force they've never allowed themselves to show before, because the person who thinks about you every day is finally done thinking quietly. Today, they're ready to make you feel it. My beloved child, the moment their heart aligns with the decision they've been avoiding for so long, a powerful certainty rises inside them, steady, undeniable, impossible to silence. They move through their space with a different energy now, one that feels heavier yet strangely freeing. It's as if every memory of you, every emotion they buried, every truth they suppressed, begins rising to the surface all at once, demanding expression. Their chest feels warm and tight, as though something long buried is finally stirring awake after being quiet for far too long. They are not hesitating anymore, not caught in the same loops of doubt that used to stop them before. For the first time, their feelings feel louder than their fear, and that shift changes how they see everything. A realization rises suddenly, grounding them, making them pause. They think about the time that has passed, not with self-blame, but with a quiet awareness of how easily moments slip away when words are left unspoken. They remember the times they wanted to reach out, the conversations they replayed in their mind, and the questions they never asked. There is curiosity, too, about how the other person has been, what life has looked like on their side, and how distance can change what once felt close. The silence now feels less like a wall and more like unfinished understanding. A stronger resolve begins to form, not rushed, not desperate, but steady and honest. They realize that what matters most is no longer control or certainty, but the simple act of showing up and speaking truthfully. They choose openness over fear. They start imagining how you might react when they reach out. Fear creeps in at the edges, yes, but it doesn't stop them this time. Because the thought of you because the thought of you slipping into someone else's life, someone else's arms, someone else's future, it hits them in a place so deep, it knocks the air out of their lungs. They don't want to watch from a distance anymore. They don't want to wonder what you're feeling. They don't want to risk losing their chance. Today pushes them to act, not out of desperation, but out of truth. They care, they feel, they choose you, and for the first time, they're ready to show it. Then, as they sit with all these emotions swirling inside them, something happens that pushes everything over the edge. Maybe they see something that reminds them of you. Maybe a message pops up. Maybe a memory flashes so vividly, it feels like you're standing right in front of them. Whatever it is, it shakes them deeply, shakes them in a way that makes the next step feel undeniable. They pick up their phone. They unlock it slowly, their pulse thundering in their ears. And in that moment, they know this isn't just impulse. This is fate pushing them forward. This is the moment their silence breaks. This is the moment their truth rises. And now, as the final push builds inside them, everything around them seems to hold its breath. Their fingers hover over the screen one last time, but this time, they don't tremble. This time, their mind stops overthinking. This time, their heart takes control. They type something, simple, honest, powerful, or maybe they decide to call, or maybe they decide to show up. Whatever form it takes, the energy is the same, real, raw, unstoppable, because today, the person who thinks about you every single day has reached a point where they can no longer stay silent. Today, they're ready to break through the distance. Today, they're ready to make you feel everything they've been carrying inside their heart. My beloved child, the moment they hit that point of no return, something inside them ignites with a force they didn't expect. It's not just emotion anymore. It's conviction, a certainty rising from deep within their soul that today is the day everything changes. They can feel it in their heartbeat, in the way their chest tightens, in the way the world around them suddenly feels too small to hold everything they've been carrying. The silence they once hid behind now feels suffocating. The distance they once justified now feels like a mistake too heavy to keep living with. At some point, the distractions stop working, and the truth becomes impossible to avoid. They sit alone with their thoughts, replaying conversations they once brushed aside, revisiting moments they thought they had already moved past, only to realize those memories still carry weight. What surprises them most is not how much they miss you, but how deeply your presence changed the way they experienced life itself. Before you, things felt predictable, almost mechanical, as though they were simply moving through routines without truly feeling connected to anything meaningful. Then you arrived, and without forcing anything, you brought warmth into places inside them they didn't even realize had gone quiet. You listened differently. You noticed small details. You understood emotions they struggled to explain even to themselves. Over time, that connection became part of how they understood happiness, comfort, and emotional honesty. Now, in your absence, they begin recognizing how rare that feeling actually was. It isn't just about missing late-night talks or shared memories. It's the realization that certain parts of themselves only came alive when they felt truly seen by you. That understanding settles heavily on them, especially during quiet moments when there is nothing left to distract their mind. They catch themselves staring at old messages, hesitating before picking up the phone, wondering whether honesty has arrived too late. Yet beneath the uncertainty, something steadier begins to grow. Instead of running from their emotions, they slowly accept them, and for the first time in a long while, they stop trying to silence what their heart has been saying all along. Then an emotional shift occurs, slow at first, then sudden. Their fear of rejection fades, their doubt softens, their hesitation dissolves. What they're left with is a deep, undeniable need to reconnect with you, not because they're lonely, but because you hold a space in their heart no one else has ever reached. They don't care how long it's been. They don't care what wounds were created. They don't care about pride or ego anymore. They just know that if they don't express what they feel today, they'll lose something their soul isn't willing to lose. That realization becomes the force that pushes their hand forward. And now everything falls into place. They take a breath, a deep one, shaky but determined. Their fingers move with purpose. Their voice steadies. Their mind quiets. And their heart speaks louder than ever. Whether they send a message, decide to call, or prepare to show up, one thing becomes certain. Their action today is fueled by pure truth. They're done hiding. They're done pretending. They're done running from the connection that never died. Today, they will take the step that transforms silence into something alive again. Because the person who thinks about you every single day has finally reached the moment where holding back is no longer possible. My beloved child, the moment their decision solidifies, the air around them changes, charged, thick, almost humming with emotion. It's as if the universe itself leans closer, waiting to witness what happens next. They feel a trembling inside, not from fear, but from the weight of everything they're finally ready to reveal. Their heart is no longer whispering, it's roaring. Their mind is no longer confused, it's aligned. And their soul, restless for so long, finally feels as if it's moving in the direction it always wanted. Today is no longer just another day. Today becomes the moment their truth becomes impossible to hide. Another surge of emotion hits them so strongly they have to pause to catch their breath. They realize that their silence didn't protect them, it only created more distance. Their pride didn't make them stronger, it made them lonelier. Their attempt to forget you didn't bring peace, it brought emptiness. And now they can't stop thinking about how much brighter life felt when you were part of it. Every laugh hit differently. Every moment had meaning. Every day had this warmth they didn't understand until it was gone. Losing that version of life has haunted them quietly. And today, the weight of that loss becomes too heavy to carry another second. Stay close now, because the turning point arrives with a force. They imagine seeing you again. Your eyes, your posture, the way your presence changes the atmosphere. The thought alone sends a jolt through their body. Their chest tightens, their heartbeat stutters, and they suddenly understand why no other connection ever felt complete, because none of them were you. The depth, the spark, the emotional pull, they never found it again, no matter how hard they tried. And the idea of you slipping away forever feels like a nightmare they refuse to let become real. This realization becomes the fire that pushes them toward the next step with unstoppable determination. Then something happens, subtle, but powerful enough to seal their decision. Maybe they see a sign, a pattern, a date, a name, something so perfectly aligned with your energy that it feels like destiny tapping them on the shoulder. In that instant, they know this isn't coincidence. It isn't imagination. It isn't longing twisting their thoughts. It feels like a quiet moment of clarity, like something inside them has finally settled into place. They take a slow breath and notice how long they have been holding everything in. Thoughts, feelings, and things they never quite said out loud. It isn't overwhelming in a dramatic way anymore. It's more like a steady understanding that they can't keep everything locked away forever. They think about the person they have been meaning to reach out to, not with urgency or pressure, but with honesty and simplicity. There's a sense that what they want to say doesn't need perfect timing or perfect words, just sincerity. So they mentally gather what matters most, the connection they have felt, the moments they have replayed, and the things they wished they had expressed earlier. Nothing exaggerated, nothing forced, just real human feeling. As they sit with it, the fear of how it might be received doesn't disappear completely, but it becomes lighter, less controlling. What grows stronger is the desire to be truthful and open, even if the outcome is uncertain. And in that calm space, they decide that reaching out isn't about pressure or urgency anymore. It's simply about being honest, letting go of silence, and allowing a genuine conversation to finally begin.